I've been watching a lot of grading videos, crackout videos on YouTube. I think we all love that style, that series. And the biggest value I think is actually being able to observe, has PCGS gotten tougher, easier, and it's so subtle and anecdotal, and it's hard to have any legitimate evidence to prove it. But I just kind of want to, I'd be curious to get your guys' perspective. There was a really good video from, I think it was JR Rare Coins, about a crackout video, and essentially had a lot of success. And Ben, the Coin Geek, does a lot of them. And if anything, he's actually providing a fantastic kind of, I haven't really done any kind of collecting the stats, but he's in a way allowing some good scientific research to be done to kind of showcase over time his success rate. Again, this is purely anecdotal, so that's all. I'm just showing you my current collection of buffaloes. All of these have been graded and cracked out, just for what it's worth. But I remember there was a period of time around 2020 when CAC was becoming really popular. It's always been fairly popular, but I feel like it gained some incredible steam in 2020 and 2021 during the everybody staying at home COVID boom. And in a sense, if you think about it, CAC, for lack of a better way of saying it, was kind of insulting to PCGS in a sense by saying like, hey, some of your coins graded 65 are C players, some are B and some are A. And I almost feel like with CAC getting so much business, and then rumors circulated that CAC was going to create their own grading company because they believed PCGS and NGC were doing a poor job. I think it made PCGS almost want to grade tougher. I don't know. Plus, that was an era where there was just an absurd amount of coins sent to them. And it felt like, I was sending some crackouts, and I felt like it was almost comical. I remember there was a stretch of 2 submissions where I would crack out PCGS coins and send them in. I just want to make mention, there's something about this coin. This has the very natural kind of skin tone of a buffalo. I feel like this one might have been dipped. It almost has a kind of the proof. It's not a proof, I don't think. But it has kind of a proof-like look to it, which is not necessarily welcomed. I think that's too bright, in my opinion. But there was a stretch of like 2 or 3 submissions, which honestly was what killed me about getting coins graded, where I had cracked out, because I like collecting raw, and then a year or 2 later, I send them back in, and every single one of them, exactly every one, came back a point lower. It was almost comical, like how consistently 1 point lower it was. So coins graded around 2020 to 2021, 22 even. Again, this is just my observation. I'd be curious your guys' perspective on it, but felt like they were tougher in that little stretch of time. Again, this one, something just feels a little off about that one. But this has a really nice kind of 2-sided toner. I like this one. Common date, obviously, but this was in a 65 holder, if you were wondering. But I've noticed recently that a lot of these crackouts are actually having some success, which I find interesting. And I made that PCGS submission video this last time. I'm sending that through the economy side. One, because all the coins are going to be probably $300 or less, and spending $23 on grading is a heck of a lot better than spending $35. And also I'm realizing that Great Collections is now a lot better at taking photos of your coin, and that's included in the sale. So I'm just going to send it to Great Collections and let them do the photo, so I did not pay for like the $5 photo upgrade or whatever. But I think optimal route right now is actually send them to PCGS. I still feel like NGC is actually a little tough. And you know, another observation on grading is, in my pursuit of buying nice Buffaloes, Indian Cents, toned Roosevelt dimes, all that stuff, I've actually noticed that Annex, modern Annex holders, have some really nice coins in them for the grade. I feel like that might be actually some of the hidden gems of the coin market right now. Don't sleep on those. At this point, I forgot which ones were Annex holders, but I've gotten some Buffalo nickels, I think one or two, I forget which ones, that I felt like were almost borderline undergraded. I almost feel like Annex, you think about it, I mean, they were kind of always, they traded at least a grade lower. And why wouldn't they have said, hey, let's try and match what the market feels is really a 65, but they still trade a grade lower. Well, that's a heck of a buy if you don't mind either keeping it in the Annex holder or cracking out and send it to PCGS. And right now, I bet that crossover might have some decent success. This one is actually one of the only ones that I bought raw. And I bought this from a dealer up in Toledo who marked this as AU. Let me zoom in a little bit. The toning is really lovely. I've owned a ton of graded Buffalo. I don't see any wear, I guess, on the top of the Buffalo there, but that is a common place for a flat strike. If this is AU, it would be AU 58 plus all day long. But this guy sold it to me at AU 58 gray sheet bid of $60. This is a coin that if it grades 65 is worth like 500. That's where I've learned, because I've gone to a lot of coin shops in my days because I travel so much for work. So many of them are kind of dead ends. Not enough coin shops have good quality graded coins. It's really unfortunate. They're all bullion shops, really. Which I get it. That's the majority of transactions are around bullion. That's probably where they make the money to pay the bills. And I want you guys to try and guess the grade on this one here. This is the popular Type 1 Philly. The reason why I say NGC is grading tougher. This was a Mint State 65. I did a grading set of these about 4 years ago, where I bought every grade from 58 to 68. And I wish I kept that series. Funny enough, the Mint State 68 Buffalo nickel that I sold eventually is back for sale on Great Collections. And that was one that I just absolutely loved, but it was just so dang expensive. And it kind of begs the idea that there was a stretch in time where I was all about the grade point on the slab. And a 68 Buffalo and PCGS trades for $6,000 to $10,000 for that coin. The 67, and I had a 67 plus as well. I bought that one well. I bought that for $1,200. Those now trade for like $2,500. The 67 trades for about $1,000. 66 plus maybe $450. 66 $400. In other words, 66 is a $400 coin, maybe even 250 if you get it right. And a 68 is nearly 10,000. And I've owned 4 68s. Didn't always pay 10 grand, of course. Some you can get for about 6. But 6 grand to 400, and some of those 68s were graded or looked worse than my 66s. And so it's changed my perspective of collecting. We're so dependent on what PCGS tells us. This was an interesting little toner I picked up at a coin shop in Bowling Green, Ohio. An older guy who had a really good eye, kind of a hidden gem little store there. The only unfortunate thing is he knows the value of his coins, so I probably paid a little too much for this. But he's just like the sweetest old man, and we talked for what felt like an hour and a half. His wife was there working with them. It was in like this old dead mall, and he's like, him and one other store is in this mall. Everything else is completely shut down, but he's still going strong. But obviously common date and common grade, but coins like this do trade for multiples of the grade. Tough thing is, again, I'm bad at impulse buying coins that don't really fit in my collection, so most likely I'm going to turn around and sell this on Great Collections, but felt like I just needed to buy something from the guy, and he just talked forever, and yeah, I love dealers like that. So be curious your thoughts on the modern state of grading. Take care, everybody.